Moving on with the session, we have our next speaker, Mr. Vijaya Bikram Samal. 3D printing technology has existed for almost 30 years now. Yet another technology is arising. It is called 4D printing and it is coming straight from the future. How do we add fourth dimension to 3D printing? Yes, it is great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker, Mr. Vijaya Bikram Samal, who is going to talk to us about 4D printing technology. Mr. Vijaya Bikram Samal is presently a senior doctoral researcher at Direct Digital Manufacturing Lab, IIT Kharagpur. He has done his MTech in Manufacturing Systems Engineering from V. Surendra University of Technology, Odisha. He has completed his BTech in Mechanical Engineering from Badrak Institute of Engineering and Technology under Biju Patnaik University of Technology, Odisha. He has been doing his research in this field for a field of 4D printing for the last 5 years, during which he has filed a patent, has got 4 publications, and has delivered a talk at an international conference. In 2018, he became the first person in the world to have created the strongest 4D printed part. He is considered the first person in India to have started research in the field of 4D printing technology. He received the Best Research Paper Award at an international conference in 2021. He was awarded by the Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha for his innovation in 2018. In the same year, he founded Freegen, which was a heat engine that can produce electricity from waste heat, which was selected as top startup idea by Startup India and got incubation award from IIT Bhubaneswar. Presently, he is developing a novel shape memory polymer composite for 4D printing, having applications in photonics and bone tissue engineering. It's an immense pleasure for me to invite you on behalf of SASTRA University and BEATS for ATRIUM 2022. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. So I'll share my screen. Is it visible? Hello. Yes, is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for your kind introduction. First of all, I would like to thank all the members who have conducted this conference and Bioengineering Department of SASTRA deemed to be university for providing me an opportunity to showcase my research. So today I'll speak on 4D printing technology. So this is the outline of my presentation today. So I'll start with the introduction to 4D printing. Then I'll show how the 4D printing evolved from 3D printing. Then I'll show some of the smart materials that are used for 4D printing applications. And also I'll discuss some of the present as well as future application landscape of 4D printing. I'll discuss about the 2 case studies which are based on my experiments. And at the end, I'll show some of the working prototypes. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So starting with the 4D printing technology. So what exactly does that mean? So 4D printing can be defined as a method of fabricating a part layer by layer using a smart material to create a structure that can change its characteristic property when an external stimulus is provided to it. Now, here we have 3 key points. First of all, it should be an additive manufacturing process because it is a layer by layer process. The second, it should be a smart material along with additive manufacturing. And the third point is whenever we have printed anything and we are providing an external stimulus to it, it should change its characteristic property, like change its color, change its shape or anything. So this is the broad classification of 4D printing technology. It can be classified into 3. So first one is the 4D printing by embedding of smart material during printing. The second one is the 4D printing by monomaterial additive manufacturing. The third one is the 4D printing by multi-material additive manufacturing. Now coming to how 4D printing evolved from 3D printing, this can be better understood by this roadmap. where we can see from the very beginning in 1986, the first patent was filed on 3D printing technology, and it was based on a SLA technology, that is stereolithography. And Chuck Hull then founded Stratasys, and later on it patented the first FDM 3D printing technology, which is very famous nowadays. We can get it in every household. This is very economical. And again in 1995, the SLM technology came, which starts the metal additive manufacturing. In 2001, very famous company EOS commercialized the first SLS technology, and from that, a lot of applications are there in metal additive manufacturing. In 2003, it begins the first bioprinting, from the Clemson University. Thomas Bolland developed the first inkjet bioprinting, and it has been developed from normal inkjet printer that we see in our office. In 2013 begins the 4D printing concept provided by Professor Skylar Tibbets of MIT Self-Assembly Lab, USA. And from there, a lot of researchers are trying to work on 4D printing and making it much better and better day by day. In recent years, in just before 1 year, in 2021, 6D printing concept was provided by University of Athens, Greece. Just a minute. So now coming to the types of additive manufacturing as per the ASTM standard. So additive manufacturing is a process where we create a physical object from the 3D CAD model, and we do it by successive addition of the material. As per the ASTM standard, there are 7 types of additive manufacturing process. The first one is a wet photopolymerization. This is also called SLA, that is stereolithography. So here we have a liquid resin in a container, and we have the energy source that can be UV light or laser. And whenever the UV light or laser interacts with the liquid resin, there are photoinitiators, after which the chain reaction starts and it polymerizes one layer at a time. So when we combine it with many layers, then we get the final 3D printed part. Then comes the material extrusion.
So sorry to interrupt,
Yes.
but a part of your screen is hidden because black. We can't really see the
Okay.
around between the 4th and the 6th diagram. There is a black patch.
4th and 6th diagram. Okay.
The direct energy deposition and the sheet lamination. There's a this it's still there. Though there is a black patch which is hiding a part of the screen.
Just a minute.
There are 3 patches actually now over the top, and I'm not really sure why.
Okay, then I'll just stop sharing and share it again.
Yeah, sure.
Is it there from the very beginning? Hello?
Yes, sir. It was there from the beginning.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah, the patch is still there.
It's still there.
So I don't know, actually I'm not able to see any patch here. Not sure what is that.
Is there any zoom widget or something that's present there? So could be that.
No, that is not present. I have already done that. Okay, I'll just share the complete screen. Let's see.
Yes, it's perfect. It works now.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, thank you.
So can I start from here, or?
Yes, sir. Yes, you can start from here.
Okay. Yeah. So coming to the types of additive manufacturing, as I have already discussed, that additive manufacturing is a process where we manufacture the part layer by layer from a 3D CAD model by just successive addition of the layers. So first one is the wet polymerization or SLA technique that I was discussing. So here we have a tank, or we have a storage unit where we have liquid resin or polymer liquid resin. And here as an energy source, we can have UV light or laser. When the laser interacts with the liquid resin, it solidifies and polymerizes the polymer, and one layer is created at a time. And when the different layers are adhered to each other, then we can get the final 3D printed part. In case of material extrusion, we have 3 important parts. That is, first one is the extrusion head, second one is the polymer filament, and the third one is the heated nozzle. So here the filament is in the form of a polymer, and it is fed through the extrusion head, and in the extrusion head we have heaters, so it gets heated above its melting temperature, and it gets pushed into the nozzle and gets deposited onto the build stage. Then build stage can move in X and Y, and the extruder head can move up, so that we can finally get a 3D printed part. In case of binder jetting, generally we use the feedstock as a that powders. So powders is deposited on the build platform, and then the liquid binder is applied to it in each of the layers. So binder is generally a glue kind of thing, which creates which solidifies the layer, and again by layer by layer process, the 3D printed part we get it from binder jetting. In case of direct energy deposition, it is also called as the most oldest 3D printing technique, because it came from cladding. So here we have nozzles from where metal powders can be fed into it, or also we can feed metal wires into it, and at the same time there is a laser or any other energy source interaction onto the build substrate, and due to the melt pool generated there, and after solidification we can get the layers, and by combining the layers you can get the final part. Then again, this is for metal, and we can also use powder bed fusion for the metal. Here we also use the same metal powders, and we have 3 compartments here: a depositor, collector, and a build stage. From the depositor, the powder gets deposited on top of the build stage, and then due to the laser interaction onto the particles sintered to each other, and we get the final part. In case of sheet lamination, generally we use sheets of paper or polymer or aluminum can be used, and we have 2 rollers over here. From one roller the material goes, and one roller collects it, and we have a laser which cuts the material as per the CAD geometry, and we have a heated roller, after each of the layers it gets on top of each other to make the adhesion between the layers. Then this is the material jetting. So material jetting is different than binder jetting, because in binder jetting we generally put binders from the inkjet, but here we directly put the polymer material from the jetting head. So the jetting head consists of many perforated micro holes from where the material gets deposited onto the build platform, and the due to the UV light interaction, it polymerizes, and we get the 3D printed part. So I would also like to say that in our lab we have different technologies, like we have the material jetting machine, that is Object 30 Stratasys. We have a direct energy deposition, that is from Optomec. We have powder bed fusion. In fact, in India, our lab got the first powder bed fusion back in 2009, and recently we have updated it to US M290 with melt pool monitoring and other things. In material extrusion also we have got many FDM setups. Along with that we have LDM, that is liquid deposition modeling. And in case of wet polymerization, this is not exactly like that, but we have a very very good machine that is called NanoScribe, and that is based on 2-photon polymerization. So that can create structures having feature size in nanometers. So coming to the smart materials, so smart materials are also called intelligent or responsive materials, and these materials can change its properties when an external stimulus is provided to it. So this can be classified into 7. So first one is the piezoelectric material. So piezoelectric material can convert vibrational energy or mechanical energy to electrical signals, and vice versa. And then comes the shape memory alloys. So shape memory alloys are those kind of alloys which can remember its shape when programmed. Now this programming is not generally, I am speaking about the computer program. So this is a thermomechanical programming that we generally do, and the mechanism of shape memory effect is due to the solid phase transformation. And then comes the magnetostrictive material. So these materials are those materials which can change its shape when there is a magnetic field. Then the shape memory polymer. So shape memory polymer is same as that of the shape memory alloys. The thing is that here we use the polymers, and the mechanism is due to dual component, dual state, or partial transition mechanism. So then comes the hydrogels. So hydrogels are those materials which can absorb or deabsorb water to change the shape and size of the structure. So these are water responsive materials. Then comes the electroactive polymers. So electroactive polymers are those polymers which can react to the electric field. So for example, if I consider a safe memory polymer or any polymer and I mix it with some copper powders or CNTs or graphene, then it can become electroactive polymers. Then comes the magnetorheological fluid. So this is a fluid which can become solid when it is in magnetic field. So these are the smart materials that we can use for 4D printing. So now what is the basic difference between 3D printing and 4D printing? So this I have taken from this publication mentioned below. So here we can see that in 3D printing, the material is common and we print it and then we get the final part. That final part cannot change its shape and size in any environmental condition. But in 4D printing, the material is changed. The technology of the 3D printing remains there, but the material changes. So from here, we can see that we use smart materials. Along with that, we can also use multi-material 3D printing. And this inverse problem modeling is generally the design for 4D printing. And once the static structure has been created, then when we are providing it some stimulus, then it can change in a dynamic intelligent structure. Now this is the process for 4D printing. So for the process of 4D printing, it includes three major things. The first one is the selection of right smart material. So once the selection of the right smart material is done, then we can choose the energy source as per that. Now this selection of the smart material can be done as per our applications, and selection of the energy source depends upon the selection of the smart material. For example, if I am considering some safe memory polymer, and it is thermoresponsive, then of course my energy source should be heat. Now these energy sources, we generally use the passive energy sources like heat, pressure, temperature, pH change, anything like that. And the third major thing is the precise positioning. So this precise positioning is the design for 4D printing. So this design for 4D printing, we have to think what will be the shape after morphing or after changing, so that we can design it beforehand and we can create some hinges or we can create some angles, so that after the morphing can be after the morphing, the geometry can be changed. Now coming to the application landscape of 4D printing technology. So here we can see there is a lot of applications for this technology in all the fields of science, engineering, and technology. So here we have divided it into three. That is, first one is the electronics and power, second is the industrial space and healthcare, and third one is the consumer and appliances. I have shown it from 2021 to 2025, keeping in view that what final applications can be. So recently in electronics and power, we have seen many researchers working on smart optical switches, adaptable sensors, and in future we can see adaptable and active microwave structures, adaptable solar panels, etc. In industrial space and healthcare, a lot of people are working on bioprinting, developing materials for bioprinting, soft robotics, self-healing materials, and patient-specific stents. In future, we can see smart valves, adaptable tire compounds, smart buildings and pipes, stimulus responsive space, deployable structures, etc. In consumer and appliances, a lot of work is going on at MIT Self-Assembly Lab, where they are producing self-assembled furniture, transformative shoes and garments, and in future we can get self-assembled fashionware, smart home appliances. So now I'll discuss about the case study 1, which is based on my MTech work that I had done at Veer Surendra Sai University of Technology, Burla, Odisha. And this is the first category of 4D printing, that is 4D printing by embedding of the smart material during printing. So this is the complete overview of the process. So the process starts with the 3D CAD model. So once we are done with the 3D CAD model, then we can go for the preparation of the material. So this preparation of the material can be done using any manufacturing process like cutting, drilling, but there is a lot of other things also going on, because safe memory alloys like nickel titanium is very difficult to machine. So here for our case, we had used wire cut EDM for cutting, and we had used laser micro machining and electrochemical micro machining for drilling. We have also used design of experiments, and we have found out the optimum result, but I will not discuss that part. This is another research area that is upcoming, that is the machining of safe memory alloys. So once that preparation of the material is done, then we can go for the programming of the material. Now programming of the material can be done using the bending. First we have to bend the part, then we have to heat it, then we have to quench it, then again we have to bend it to a temporary shape. And once that programming of the material is done, then we can go for the 3D printing with embedding of the nickel titanium safe memory alloy. So this 3D printing with embedding can be done by first 3D printing of the base, then we have to pause the printer, then we have to embed the sheet, and then we have to resume the printer. And then once this 3D printing with embedding of the nickel titanium safe memory alloy is done, then we can go for the testing. So for this part of the research, I have used nickel titanium alloy, and that is a smart metal. We had done a electrodispersive spectroscopy to find out the exact composition. So we have found out that it is nickel was around 43% and titanium 56%. So this is the design for 4D printing. So here I have focused my output prototype as two. The first one is a 3D model of an origami, and the second one is a 3-jaw gripper design. Keeping in mind that this origami cube I have printed and created to just show that what is the capability of the 4D printing with embedding of the safe memory alloy. And this 3-jaw gripper design I had created to so that we can use it to grab something from the hot water without using any motor or actuators. So here we can see we have considered a lot of design parameters. Like here we had considered a chamfering of 45 degree because keeping in mind that our output is to create a structure that is perfectly 90 degree. So this is the programming strategy for safe memory alloy. So programming is a process where we train the material to behave in a way that we want. Like we are training it to bend it whenever an actuation temperature is provided to it. So first of all, for that we have to bend the sheet, we have to fix it in a fixture, then we have to heat it above the transition temperature of the material, then we have to quench it in the room temperature water. And once that is done, now the material has remembered its shape, that it has to change to that programmed shape whenever I am providing a triggering temperature. This is the whole process of the embedding during printing. So first of all, we have to print the base. Then after that, we can pause the printer, and then we have to embed the safe memory material in between like this, and then we have to resume the printer. And then once it is completed, we can stop the printer. Here I have used the FDM setup, that is Ultimaker 3. So this is the characterization. We have used a hot water actuation test. So for the first prototype, we can see that it took around 22 seconds to come to its final shape. And you can see how we have printed it, and after actuation, how it is becoming. So I have already predicted that after the actuation, it can become perfectly 90 degree. So depending upon that only we have designed our part, and we can see it is perfectly 90 degree now. And the second prototype that I have developed is to grab something from the hot water. We can see without using any kind of robot motors and any kind of actuators, we are able to grab something from the hot water. So for this part of my work, I would like to acknowledge my professor, Dr. Devadatta Misra sir, from Department of Production Engineering, Veer Surendra Sai, University of Technology, Idea and Innovation Club, and all the members of the production engineering. I would also like to acknowledge my co-author, Anita Jena. So before going into case study 2, I would like to take some questions, if any, in between.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
So in one of the first slides, you spoke about something called 6D printing, if I was not wrong,
yes.
in Athens in 2021.
Yes.
May I know exactly what that is that we are talking about?
Okay, so
the concept behind the 6D printing?
Okay, so in 3D printing, we have 3 axes, that is X, Y, and Z. And in 5D printing is a concept because that is not exactly 5D printing, but again, we can say it because there are 5 axes. So in 4D printing, the 4th dimension is time. So in case of 5D printing, the 5 dimensions are X, Y, Z, and 2 rotational axes we have. So 6D printing is printing a smart material using a 5-axis additive manufacturing method. Like if we have a FDM, like we have CNC, 5-axis CNC, we have 3-axis CNC. Similarly, we have 3D printers which has 5 axis, which has 3 axis. If we are using a smart material along with a 3 axis machine, that is the 4D printing. And if you are using a smart material along with 5 axis machine, that can be called as a 6D printing. That's what researchers have presented. Is it clear?
So what is a 5-axis machine?
5-axis machine means you have 3 axis, just like the normal 3D printer or any CNC we have. And along with that, we have 2 rotational axis, which can rotate in some angles.
Okay, sir. So then you have these 5 axes, and then your 6th axis is your time.
Yes, correct.
Oh, all right, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So if we have no question, then we can go for the case study 2. So case study 2 is based on my work at Direct Digital Manufacturing Lab, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. And it is the second category of the 4D printing, that is 4D printing by monomaterial additive manufacturing. So here we have considered a safe memory polymer to print it. So first of all, before going into deep into that, we must know what is the mechanism of safe memory effect in any thermoresponsive safe memory polymer. So the common structural feature of any safe memory polymer are the safe fixing part and the safe switching parts. So safe fixing parts are the net points within the polymer matrix. Here you can see. So these are responsible for the dimensional stability of the material during deformation. And the safe switching parts are the long polymeric chain that can take up elastic energy whenever we are deforming it, and it can recoil and recover back when a triggering temperature is provided to it. So that is the mechanism of safe memory effect in any thermoresponsive safe memory polymer. So here, for characterization of the safe memory properties, we need to see the 2 important things. That first one is the safe fixation and the safe recovery. So safe fixation is the property of the material or safe memory polymer to get fixed at a certain angle or certain position. So if we consider an analogy, like we can consider one elastic rubber band. If we are stretching it, if we are stretching a rubber band, then and leaving it, it will not get fixed at that point. So it will recover back. So that is the elastic property of the material. But if we have a material which we can get fixed at that point, and whenever we are providing some external stimulus, it is recovering back, and that is the safe memory property. So in the safe recovery is the property of the safe memory polymer to recover back its fixed point whenever we are providing some triggering temperature to it. We can find out the safe fixation ratio and recovery ratio from these formulas. Now we can discuss about the safe programming strategies. Like in my case study 1, I have already discussed what is programming of safe memory alloy. Now here we can see that the programming is done by, first of all, we have a edge printed part, then we can fix it in a fixture in our desired shape. Like our final shape we want is 90 degrees, then we can fix it as per that, and we can heat it above the glass transition temperature of the material. Then after that we can cool it or quench it. So now this completes the programming cycle. So this programming cycle is completed. Once it is completed, we can go for the recovery. For the recovery cycle, we can deform it to some temporary shape, and whenever we are providing some triggering temperature heat, then it will recover back. Now you can see we have made that material to remember its shape to be 90 degree, but it is not 100% recovery. So that percentage of recovery you can calculate, and that is why we are interested about it. Now we can see why I am using a FDM 3D printing to process the safe memory polymer. So what is the motivation? So this programming process that we generally do is a post process, and it needs time and efforts. So here we can see that during the FDM 3D printing process, the material is fed through the nozzle, and there is a heater over there which is heating it to above its melting temperature. So and it is getting deposited onto the build platform. So you can see whenever it is getting deposited to the build platform, this fixing part is getting automatically done here, and also the heating part is also getting done here, because it gets heated and then only it gets deposited onto the build platform. And whenever the nozzle moves up by depositing various layers on top of each other, the cooling of this layers is also getting done here. So this is a dynamic process, and this whole programming procedure, for which we generally do separately, is getting done here during the process only. So that is the motivation why I am using fuse deposition modeling to process the safe memory polymers. So once that is done, now my aim is to check whether which kind of processing and which kind of programming is better. So for that, I have done the experiments. So first of all, I have created this CAD model. We can see here also I have considered few design parameters like chamfering of 45 degree, because my final part I want it to be 90 degree. Then after once CAD is done, then we can go for the slicing of the part using Simplify 3D. We have sliced it, and after that we can use any DIY low cost 3D printer to process the safe memory polymer. Now here we have varied few parameters, like we have varied printing speed and extruder temperature, because my aim was also to check whether the printing speed has any effect on the safe memory properties or not, and also the extruder temperature. So I have varied it, and other parameters remaining constant, I have produced the part. After that, we can go for the characterization. So for the characterization, we have used the fold deployable test, because it is a very low cost and a very robust technique to find out the safe memory properties. So we have a testing setup here, in-house testing setup, where we have a tank, and we have hot water, and we can control the temperature. And then we have created this angle measurement schema to find out the safe recovery, safe fixation, and safe memory index. So here we can see that for two cases, that is programming during printing and programming after printing, we have different angle measurement schemes. And once that is done, then we can go for the results. In the results, we can see that by increasing the speed, we can see the safe recovery has increased. But when we are increasing the extruder temperature, the safe recovery has decreased. So now this is very important result that we have found out from here, that we can use the programming, we can use the processing parameters to control it. And here we can see that we have got recovery up about 87%, and we have and for extruder temperature we have got around 78%, and the safe fixation is very good for all the two cases. So that is none of our concern now, because that is very good, that is 100%, around 100%. So here it is the result for programming during printing. Let's see what is the result for programming after printing. So this is the result for programming after printing. Here also we can see the trend is same, like with increasing in the speed, there is an increase in the recovery, and with increasing in the extruder temperature, there is a decrement in the recovery. But the difference between the programming after printing and during printing is that here we have got the result of recovery about 45%, but there we had got around 87%. So we can say that programming during printing is a very good option if we are going for the 4D printing of safe memory polymer processing using FDM 3D printing. Now I will show some of the working prototypes. So the first prototype that we can get here is this is a scaffold structure, wood pile structure. When we are providing some stress, then it is getting deformed, and when deformed, then we are hitting it, then it can recover back. So now this can have a lot of applications for minimum invasive scaffold deployment and drug eluting bioresorbable stimuli responsive scaffolds. The second prototype is a origami cube that we have printed, and by keeping in mind that it can be used for space deployable structures and thermal actuators. So here we have varied the processing parameter what we have got from my before experimental results. So I have printed it using the low speed and high extruder temperature. So we can see that when we are using low speed, the time for the recovery increases. So here it took around 13 seconds to get recovery to a cube, and we can see also the recovery is not fully. So here this is the origami structure. From the origami structure we can create the cube. This is the same prototype, but we have printed it at some other processing parameter like high speed and low extruder temperature. When we are printing it at high speed and low extruder temperature, we can see the same part has taken only 2 seconds to recover, and it is also fully recovery. So from this we can conclude that by using the FDM 3D printing process, we can create a lot of 4D printed structures, actuating joints. We can create a lot of structures you can create. And by using the first case study, that is by embedding the safe memory alloy into the polymer, we can also create 4D printed parts. And we have seen that by varying the processing parameters, we can vary the safe morphing behavior of the 4D printed part. So I would like to acknowledge my present supervisor, Professor C.S. Kumar sir, from Department of Mechanical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and my co-supervisor, Dr. Sailendra Kumar Vasne sir, from Electronics and Electrical Communication Engineering. I would also like to thank all the members of Direct Digital Manufacturing Lab at Mechanical Department, Indian Institute of Technology. And I would also like to thank my co-author, Anita Jena. So thanks. If you have any question, then you can ask.
Guys, if you have any questions.
Good morning, sir. We have a question from Arjun, who's in his 5th year of MNT.
Okay.
The question is, can other forms of stimuli like ultrasound, microwave technology, or chemical stimuli like pH be used to create smart materials for 4D printing? If yes, how can we tackle the limitations as well?
Okay. Yes, you can do that. A lot of people are working on that only. The limitations are controlling the morphing behavior. Presently, I am also facing the same challenges. So that is what I am trying to solve it. So the main challenge is how you can predict the morphing behavior beforehand and how you can control it during the process, so that you can get a controlled mechanism. If you are using for space deployment, if you are using for biomedical applications, you need to have the control on the safe morphing behavior. So that controlling is the recent challenge which a lot of people are working on it.
Thank you, sir. If you have further questions, please send your questions to the student coordinator. The contact details are available in the poster.
I am also open for any collaborative research. We can have good collaboration with my professor and we can do.
Hello. Oh, sir, am I audible? Hello.
Hello, yeah. Yes, Arvind.
Oh, sir, I have a doubt regarding the 4D printing, sir.
Yes. Please
Sir,
go on.
clearly explain us the advantages of 4D printing, sir. I just wanted to know the drawbacks of 4D printing, sir. Can you please explain it?
Okay, just now before I was speaking about the first drawback is controlling of the morphing behavior. Second drawback is we don't have much material in this aspect. So material development is another area where a lot of research can be done for materials development for 4D printing applications. And application is wide, so you can take any application like you can consider for biomedical, and you can develop materials and check its safe memory properties. So that is a thing. And you wanted to know the advantages. Okay, so the advantages are that we are creating a material and we are processing it in a way that it is behaving like nature, like we have seen in touch me not plant. Whenever we are touching it, it closes due to the stimulus, and after some time it opens up. So we are creating some nature inspired structures here. So that is one of the thing, and it can have lot of applications in all the areas. Like I have shown some of the applications. So that is the advantages of using 4D printing technology. Easy to use, and it is also economical. If you are processing any safe memory polymer, thermoresponsive safe memory polymer using FDM, then I think cost is very less.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, this is Ajay. I have a question on related to the case study 2, where you were talking about
Yes.
the recovery and fused deposition model in FDM method.
Yes.
So in that, it was mentioned that so temperature, the extrude temperature, as it increases, the recovery actually becomes slower, right?
Yes.
And in the case of speed, as speed increases, the recovery in fact was faster.
Yes.
Right. So was it related is this analysis related to the material that was used in that specific case study, or is it a generalized thing for all materials?
No, it is presently we have used only one material. So you can means different studies are there, but not much. But it is generally due to the pre-strain. It is generally due to the pre-strain that is getting stored during the processing of the material. So when we are increasing the extruder speed, so of course we are removing some of the thermal stresses out of it, and due to the thermal strain only the morphing behavior of the thermoplastic material is getting done here. So that is the pre-strain due to which it is getting done here. So if we are increasing the speed, of course the polymer material is getting stretched a lot. So the pre-strain value is more. So that is why the recovery is more.
Okay, so this logic should work for most of the materials, right?
Thermoplastic material, yes.
Okay, okay.
And it should be a safe memory polymer.
All right.
Like polyurethane, polylactide, those kind of.
All right, thank you.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Say we are using like temperature sensitive materials that changes their shape. Does a constant stimuli affect its morphology in a prolonged period of time?
Yes, that is functional fatigue. So that study is very limited. I have not seen much research onto that, but I have seen that for my material, that is safe memory polymer processed using the FDM, we can go up to 50 to 60 cycles. So if we are using it for some minimal invasive scaffold deployment, so then of course we can use it for single use, because once we can provide the stress, it will skewch, and then we can have minimal invasive, and then we can put it into our body, and we can use body heating or any IR sources, and we can heat it, and then it will recover back. So for single use, it is very good, and for multiple use means the cycles, for multiple cycles, that study is very limited. That is generally functional fatigue is there in all kind of safe memory material. Even in safe memory alloys, that is a problem, functional fatigue.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Guys, if you have any more questions.
You can always write to me with your queries.
Hello. Actually, I have a doubt.
Hello. Yeah, you are not audible. Hello.
I had a small doubt. Like, when do you probably foresee that 4D printing will be a very common phenomenon, like as common as 3D printing and 2D printing is right now?
Yes. No, I'm not able to get your question.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes.
Am I
Please go
audible
on.
now?
Yes, 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 you are.
Yeah, I just wanted to know in the future, when do you foresee 4D printing being as common as 3D and 2D printing is now?
Yeah, actually 4D printing is not a new concept. It has came from 2013. A lot of works has been done, but because 4D printing is not, I will not say that it is a separate technology. It is a part of 3D printing only, because the additive manufacturing processes that we are using, that is same. The only thing is that we are changing the way it is processed, and we are changing the material here. So of course, in next 10 to 15 years, it has a lot of applications, and we can see it in a, it will be very common, because 3D printing is right now very common. Like FDM, we can get it at very low cost, and we can get it anywhere. The only thing is that there are not a lot of materials that is available in commercially for 4D printing applications. Generally, we are using some extruders to make the materials, to screw extruders to make the material. So that thing will be very we can see in recently in before 1 year, eSun from China has got one material that is 4D filament. They are saying it. So similarly, lot of commercial filaments we can see in recent future.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I have a question. Is it possible for us to, like, say, make a composite material which have two different properties, say one responds to pH, the other responds to temperature, and integrate them together so they behave at two different ways? At say when there's a different pH or a different temperature, two different functionalities are exhibited. Is that possible?
Yes, it is. It is possible, and people are also working on multi-stimulus based composites. So that is actually multi-stimulus based safe memory polymer composite or any composite, safe memory composite. So I will give you an example like polylactide. Polylactide is responsible to both water as well as temperature. So similarly, you can also make composites with multi-stimulus like color change or changes to the chemically it can be triggered. So triggering you can do it. Definitely you can do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, I have one more question. So you were talking about the recovery in the cases of the programming done simultaneously, like during the execution and after programming, and we
Yes,
found
yes.
that the one that was done, simultaneously was actually more effective. Is there any specific reason why? Is there like any hypothesis as to why that was more effective?
Yes. So the thing is that I have made the material, means I have created the structures using FDM technology only, right? So this concept of programming during printing is that during the processing only there are some of the pre-strains that is involved in each of the layers, layers of the FDM 3D printing. So that is why it is getting recovered. So when we are programming it again, so we are removing that pre-strain that is already present during the printing. So of course that is the reason why we are getting less responsive or less safe recovery. So that is why it is the reprogramming. So during the reprogramming, the pre-strains are not enough to get the recovery that we have found out.
So basically, the pre-strain is not taken into consideration in the case of after programming. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. That is also considered because after programming also we have a few pre-strains, but that is less as compared to during printing. So during printing, and it is valid for only one cycle. I have conducted the experiment purely for one cycle. If we go for multiple cycles, then maybe results may differ.
Okay, sir. Okay, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir. Your speech has thrown us a lot of knowledge about 4D printing, and your case studies were really interesting and inspiring, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to discuss my research here.
Thanks for solving our doubts, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.